Columbia University Business School. Professor Shai Davidai has had enough. He announced on Twitter that the Columbia University has opened an investigation into his advocacy for Jewish and Israeli students, faculty, and staff. And this investigation is a clear act of retaliation and an attempt to silence me. Shai joins us live now. Thank you for being here and good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
You're very brave, and we've all been following these stories up close and personal, seeing what's happened on these college campuses around the country. Even in October, when we first started hearing from some of the students who spoke up in these press conferences, has the anti-Semitism still continued even 5 months later on campus?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a question that I get all the time. And the answer is it's not only that it's continued, it's become worse. It's become worse and worse, right? So things that would have shocked us in the beginning of October, right? The rhetoric of from the river to the sea, we don't want two states, we want all of 48, all of those things, globalized intifada, are now something that has become normalized, that people are just desensitized. And the things we're hearing now, for example, at Columbia's campus, are things like death to the Zionist state, calls to remove every former IDF soldier from campus, including myself and almost all of the Israeli professors, all of the Israeli doctors at the University Medical Center. So it's just getting really out of hand, and only because the administration has refused to take any action.
So also, but you've been very vocal and very brave, again, going on social media, talking about the cowardice of the administration to not do anything about it. But now you've been getting death threats, and I mean, if you've been aside from what we're going to talk about in a second, is your own physical safety? Are you worried for yourself?
Yeah, so I'm not worried for my physical safety, and I don't see myself as brave. I see myself as having to do something that just needs to be done. I've been put into a corner. Us, the Jewish community, has been put into a corner. And this time we're not going to sit idly by while we see this anti-Semitic wave. At the same time, I try to minimize my times that I spend on main campus because I personally don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe. I have been confronted by a student organizer, pro-Hamas student organizer, who started screaming at me. Whenever I show up on campus, it shows up in all their WhatsApp groups they organize. So personally, I try to minimize my time on the main campus, but I won't stop fighting this fight because it's the good fight. It's the right fight.
Well, and it is the right thing to do. But now you're under investigation. Like, for what?
That's a great question. You'll have to ask the university. Given the policies of the investigation, I cannot share many details, and I want to respect the policies of the university. I can tell you this: they're only investigating me for my online presence. So my advocacy for the Jewish students, the Jewish faculty, and the Jewish staff at Columbia. If you look throughout the 5 months, all I've been doing is speaking up against anti-Semitism and speaking up against student organizations that support Hamas and the Houthis, so supporting terrorism. That's all I've been doing. I never focused on any specific student or individual. I have never targeted anyone based on any protected class. Nothing. I would never think of targeting anyone based on their race, gender, whatever it is. And I've made very clear throughout these 5 months that I am for the Palestinian civilians that are trapped by Hamas in this situation, that I abhor violence, I abhor Islamophobia, I abhor anti-Palestinian or anti-Arab sentiment. But I guess the university is treating support for terrorism as a protected class, and therefore you cannot even criticize organizations that support terrorism, or you get an investigation like I've been.
So do you know, even with this, this investigation, what is it that they're looking to do? Are you worried about losing your job? Or what is the range? Do you even know?
If I'm being honest, am I worried about losing my job? Yes, there's a concern there. But I'm way more worried about the anti-Semitism not going unchecked in the university. I'm way more worried about the administration's refusal to address this and only take, only send out emails, but actually never follow up with their actions. If I lose my job, that's a price that I'm willing to pay. We have many soldiers in Miluim that are protecting the country, that are trying to retrieve back our hostages. They're paying a much bigger price than I can ever will. And it's a price that I'm willing to pay because the goal here is way more important.
Now, do you have any help or anybody, at least any allies that are able to guide you through this process? I imagine it's a pretty intimidating place to be.
So I've retained legal counsel. This is the first time in my adult life, or the first time in my life that I've been needed lawyers for anything. I have an incredible Jewish and Israeli community supporting me at Colombia and across the United States and around the world. People have been reaching out. My big concern is if they are able to do this to me, and I've been one of the most vocal critiques of anti-Semitism and support for Hamas on US campuses in general. If they can do this to me, then imagine how many other professors, Jewish, non-Jewish, Israelis, non-Israelis, are being silenced right now by their universities. So, they're here for me, but I'm also there here for them.